Welcome back, everybody. I'm Pat Daly, and this is the 411 podcast. To my somewhere on the screen, Mr. Michael Quattromani.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
And Mr. Will Casey is here with us as well.
Happy to be here as always.
Look, a lot has happened in the news lately. COVID
There's
going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Prayers up. Different spot, same energy. How are we doing, boys? How are we feeling today?
I mean,
Hey, football's still here. Football is still here. That's all that matters.
I play veins as long as football's still here. I'm doing good. I'm feeling great. First quarter grades just got back. I did pretty solid. Holy Cross, eating Holy Cross. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, Pat.
Soon.
Holy Cross. We got a nice Holy Cross tie right
now.
Hey,
very nice.
There we go.
So, let's get into the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. For me especially, a very exciting week. As Michael may have predicted.
For those of you that weren't present.
We might be the best analysts ever after this week.
Yeah.
We made calls, I think.
For those of you that weren't here last week, Patrick did predict the Patriots versus Ravens win, and that's the last that we'll be talking about Patrick's prediction. That's it.
Not a big. So
in the glory now.
We are going to hop in with Patriots Ravens first off. A very impressive game for a lot of players. We're going to get right into that. Patriots Texans. With the Patriots team right now, every game is an important game. Simple as that. We got to take a lot of dubs in these kind of the final stretch of the season. Patriots Texans. We're going to be talking fantasy trades for the playoffs. So obviously, as I always say in the podcast, trade for playoffs, prepare for playoffs. These are players that you need for weeks 14, 15, and 16.
Also, trade deadline's coming up for a lot of leagues. So
deadline. Exactly.
This is important.
Very important. And to finish it off, we are talking playoff sleepers. So teams that we think in or out on the cusp. We'll talk about it. We'll see. Mike is already smiling.
And what team you think could make it the furthest that may exceed expectations. You never know.
Michael's smiling. Will's doing his Will smirk. We're feeling good. We're ready. Mike, take it away. Pats Ravens. How do we feel about this game?
I think that this game is what us Patriots fans really thought that they were going to look like all season. I mean, coming into the season, knowing that Cam Newton was at quarterback, you got Sony Michel in the backfield, Damian Harris, we all thought was going to make a mark, James White, Rex Burkhead, all these names, right? We thought, it's going to be a powerful running team. And then they started off the season out the gate hot, and then things obviously started to cool off a little bit. But they ran the ball well, and Cam passed the ball when he needed to. That's kind of my takeaway from the Ravens game. Due to the weather, though, there weren't too many opportunities to throw the ball. Cam only threw the ball 17 times, completing 13 of his 17 passes. But I will say, the three of us called it. Our two biggest keys to the game were getting Damian Harris involved and making Lamar throw the ball. Damian Harris had 22 carries. Lamar had to throw the ball 34 times. Lamar had to throw the ball 34 times. Please, I want that to burn into your heads because all 6 of Lamar's career losses have come when he needs to throw the ball more than 25 times.
Fantastic point, Mike. Fantastic point. And that just means, Mike, and I know it's a bit of a controversial thing to say to Mike, that means Bill Belichick did his job.
Oh, God.
Simple as that.
Rare.
Dude.
Bill Belichick did a fantastic job coaching this
Absolutely, dude. They did everything that they needed to do to win this game, and they did.
I believe Michael even said last week, we got to make Lamar Jackson throw the ball. I believe you said that.
Yes.
I mean, tell me, what analysts are better than us? I mean, honestly, who's better?
Very good. Look, and like Mike said, this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. Let's go. I'm hyped right now. I got it right. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Is Pat more hyped about him calling it or the win itself?
All right. So, good stuff. What a sporadic team we are. We drop it to the Broncos, but then completely beat the Ravens, I think, pretty comfortably. Would you guys say comfortably? I don't know.
No, I would
comfortable. Say that's Patriots comfortable. Yeah, I think this is a huge moral win for us. The people, for whatever reason, perceive the Ravens as a very difficult team to beat because MVP Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. If we can beat the Ravens like this, if we win by Cam throwing only 17 passes, maybe this is what we need to do in the future.
And look, just more to Mike's point with the whole Damian Harris, and really to all of our points last week, 121 yards, 5.5 yards per carry. Damian Harris.
He's awesome.
That's impressive. That's
awesome.
Really, really good. And obviously, like we said, Cam Newton, 118 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 running touchdown. It's finally the Cam Newton that we were kind of expecting. He didn't have a lot of chances to pass. Then again, I don't think we're trying to pass with him that much. He had a really solid game. I'm so happy with the way Cam played.
Yeah, I think he played phenomenal. I also want to give props to Jacoby Myers because obviously,
absolutely,
being a receiver,
nice toss.
Yeah, being a receiver in that weather must be difficult, and he reeled in 59 yards. Obviously, threw a dot to Rex Burkhead. It was fun to watch all around. I think the Pats. One of my biggest takeaways was just they had a clean sheet with no turnovers. They had only 3 penalties, which was 5 less than the Ravens. They had more first downs, and they were more efficient on third down. That's a formula to win.
The Patriots have the least amount of penalties in the whole NFL.
Yeah.
They're literally 32nd in penalties. They don't make mistakes. And that's obviously sometimes, and it sounds kind of crazy, but sometimes
that's Bill Belichick.
Sometimes stupid mistakes can really win you games. You know what I mean? Or lose you games. So that's obviously a super good stat to hear. But all in all, I'm really happy with the way this team played. Super happy that the Patriots, I don't know if I want to call it, but are back on their feet.
No.
Knock on wood. This makes me feel way better about our playoff hopes.
They were getting a little bit later.
For a 4-game stretch.
That's right.
It was looking shaky, but I'm thinking we can get that 6 or 7 seed.
Fingers crossed. We'll talk about it. But just final thoughts, Mike.
I thought it was a good win. I'm not going to look. Can they make the playoffs? Like, does that help them out? Obviously it does. Does that, maybe get them back into the conversation? I'm not there yet. I'm really not. They're a 4-5 football team.
I think it's a big confidence thing. Yeah. Sorry, I cut Pat off there.
Yeah,
I think it's a confidence thing. A win gives you confidence. Confidence, I think, also is a big factor in skill.
Keep in mind, you know what? Never mind. I'm gonna save it. Never mind.
Honestly, back to what Will said about confidence. I agree with Will. I don't think the Ravens are as good as advertised. To be able to go out and beat the Ravens after barely beating the Jets, having a month-long, drought in wins, to be able to go do that is obviously a huge confidence boost. So I definitely think that, it's going to be good for the future.
Absolutely. Look, exciting game, exciting win. We're on to the next one. Pats, Texans. Obviously, like we said, every game is an important game. Will, start us off.
All right. I'm excited for this game. The Texans not having a great season. They are I believe they're ranked 30th for their run defense. And Damian Harris coming off 121 rushing yards, or just to say another 100-yard rushing game. I'm predicting yet another 100-yard rushing game.
Wow.
I am too. Look, this was obviously an impressive game he had last week. This week, I see him literally continuing the exact same thing.
No signs of slowing down whatsoever.
Right. Look, this is a weak Texans team. The first point is that the offensive line is literally a turnstile. It is terrible.
Talking of the offensive line, Laramie Tunsil, and he's a brand new tackle, drafted just a couple years ago.
Yep.
Him and another player did not practice this week due to illness.
Uh-oh.
Not COVID related, though.
It didn't say COVID. It just said illness. And I thought that was interesting.
Look, with this offensive line, obviously, is terrible. I'm projecting at least 3 sacks on Deshaun Watson. They know that Deshaun Watson is really, and look, they got little pieces, but is the only key player they need to stop and will 100% take advantage of that. I want to mention from last week and I think this week, Chase Winovich had a monster game against the Ravens. And I think will most likely. What's that?
Ice in his veins.
Finally, exactly.
Belichick just hasn't been playing them.
I think,
for some reason,
I believe Belichick just found an inside linebacker that he loves.
Yep.
He's number 59. Never heard of him before. But Belichick gave him another chance this week inside the tackles on defense.
And more Damian Harris. The Texans rank last in rushing defense. This offense and Damian Harris are definitely going to have a field day. Lastly, as Michael was saying, Jacoby Myers, a really solid game. I think he's going to have another solid one. Maybe a touchdown pass for him in the books with Cam. Put another touchdown pass in. To a different note, excuse me. I don't want to downplay the Texans, though, because I think they'll keep it interesting. But I do think the Patriots pull away second half. Score prediction, 34-24 Patriots.
Okay. I like that score prediction. obviously the Patriots are going into Houston as 2-point favorites, and I am very excited. Okay, I think it's gonna be a good game. More to your guys' point, I think it is very simple for the Patriots to win this game, though. I mean, again, it's a pretty like it's universally known that like Damian Harris is gonna have a good game because 26th in run defense is bad. It's nothing to write home about. It's pretty abysmal.
I read 30th.
30th
or something like that.
It probably is 30th, but it's bad. So I think
something, whatever it is, it's bad.
Yes, exactly. But look, the best part of the Texans, offense is their pass attack. That's no secret. Deshaun Watson, in my opinion, is a borderline top 5 quarterback, probably top 7 or 8. And luckily, you have a great secondary. This is a great matchup for the Patriots. Houston has a bad run defense. You have a good run game. Texans have a good pass attack. Well, you have a good secondary. So it's a good matchup for the Patriots. I think they will beat the Texans in this one. I have them winning this. It's going to be a nail biter, though. 24-23. New England's going to take it.
Wow. Closer than I would have said, but okay.
I've got a pretty close game.
I don't think they're going to suppress Deshaun Watson. I don't think they're going to stop Deshaun Watson. I think they'll suppress him.
Okay.
I've also got a close game at 28-24. Patriots take the dub. I can't see the Patriots losing this game just based on our elevated run attack this season.
You're right.
All right. Sounds good, boys. It's going to be a good one. I'm super excited to watch. I'm excited to talk about fantasy because, like, I feel like I always say it, but like right around now, man, this is as Scott Hansen says, the witching hour.
Yes.
This is it.
Yes.
This is it right here.
Let's go.
So let's talk about it. We're talking obviously, like Mike said, the trade deadline comes through. We're talking players that you need for your playoffs. Who do you need to get? Who do you need to trade for? Boys, if you don't mind, I kind of want to start this one off.
Pat,
I don't
follow you.
Not at all.
So my guy is going to be Derrick Henry. Wow. His production has been slightly down. It's Derrick Henry. Come on.
It is Derrick Henry.
His production has been slightly down, but they've been played very impressive teams. And as you guys know, and as probably everybody knows watching this podcast, I love matchups. I really do. Jaguars, Lions, Packers are weeks 14 through 16 on who the Titans play. He's going to be a workhorse. I think he's worth picking him up now, maybe trading away a lot of, maybe some expensive pieces. I think at the end of the day, running backs win seasons when it comes to fantasy. And I think this is the time you need to make a move on him.
I disagree with you.
No.
What?
Go ahead.
Wow. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, look, I think obviously, it's his last 4 games have been 15, 19, 7, and 14. It's obvious. It's not fantastic. It's not like, oh my God, Dalvin Cook, but it's not awful. Like, he's still a running back 1. He's still Derrick Henry. He's still fantastic. I don't see why any fantasy owner would be like, I got to get rid of Derrick Henry right now, because everybody knows that his fantasy schedule, his playoff schedule is amazing. Everybody knows Derrick Henry.
I'm not saying get rid. I'm saying this is the lowest point he will be at for the rest of the season. And I even said, even if it takes a lot to get him, I think he's worth it at this point. I said
the same thing about Lamar a couple weeks ago. I may not have ended up being right, but I definitely agree with your logic there.
Cool. All right. Will, take it away, brother. Who are your players?
Now, I know in the fantasy section, I sound like a broken record. But this man has just impressed me beyond belief since coming back from his injury. And I'm also a Patriots fan. Damian Harris.
Good answer. Good. I like it.
He doesn't have a tough schedule coming up. He's already been putting up numbers against some good, some not so good defenses. There's no way he's slowing down. He's been good from the beginning. The only reason he had a setback is because he got injured. Now is his time.
And what better time, right?
What better time than fantasy playoffs? There's no better time.
Mike, thoughts?
I will say that 100-yard game against the Ravens really just proved to me that he isn't just a matchup, player who just plays good against bad matchups. I mean, Ravens, that's a tough front 7. So for him to be able to have a nice game against them is definitely reassuring for fantasy owners. Honestly, dude, he might be available in some leagues. I'm pretty sure he's available in less than 50% of leagues. So, fantasy playoff buy, waiver wire pickup. I love, the 2-for-1 package that you're offering right now. I agree with it. My only flaw on him is just if you're in a league with no bonuses, like no 100-yard bonus, or if you're in a PPR league, he doesn't catch the ball. And when
a very good point.
He's got when you land end zone too.
Yeah, exactly. So like when you need, when the Patriots need to pass the ball to running backs, it's either Rex Burkhead or James White. So his name doesn't really get called for that. And the number that really gets called around the red zone in like at the goal line is Cam Newton. So he has
maybe if you're in a standard scoring league, it would be a better option. His one thing, he's just got to find his way into the end zone. And I believe in these next few weeks, he'll be developed. They'll take chances with him in the end zone.
I hope so.
All right, boys. Do you still have one more, Will?
I don't.
All right, Mike.
All right, I got one. So my guys that you got to go out and get is going to be Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, as we all know, reinstated back in the NFL week 9, I want to say. Maybe week 8. Pretty sure it's week 9, though. I guess you could include Chris Godwin and Mike Evans in this, but I'm specifically targeting Antonio Brown. He had a solid game last week of 13 points, but he has a tough upcoming schedule of the Rams, who are number 1, and Kansas City, who's number 4, respectively. So even if you don't want to go get him this week, you could probably wait a few weeks because he'll probably throw up a dud at some point against either of those two teams. But then, all right, boys, fresh off the bye, in the first round of the playoffs, he gets the 3rd worst ranked defense, Minnesota Vikings, followed by the 2nd worst ranked defense in Atlanta, and then Detroit, who is the 15th worst. But outside of Desmond Trufant, they are very slim at cornerback. And when you have the wide receiver core that the Bucs do, one player can't cover 3. So I think Antonio Brown is going to find himself open a lot in that game. If you play week 17, if your playoffs ekes into week 17, you get Atlanta again, who, like I said, is the 3rd best matchup for receivers. Antonio Brown, in my opinion, is a must trade for the playoffs.
I like that. I like that a lot. But in terms of not numbers, his quarterback believes in him. We know this. He lives in Tom Brady's house. Tom Brady loves this guy for some reason. I think Tom Brady's going to find a way to get him the ball at no matter the cost.
And I like that pick specifically, just right off the cuff when you talk about the Lions game. You get that. What corner did you mention?
Desmond Trufant.
On the Lions?
Desmond
Trufant, right? Like, he can't cover Evans, Godwin, and Brown, meaning one of those guys is going to be open. And if he's the best guy, if he's the best corner on that team, he's probably to go against Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So and I'm with you. That leaves Brown open. I like that call, definitely.
And I have him on both my leagues. So I mean,
no big deal.
I do the same thing.
So
I like it. We got definitely some food for thought. Absolutely. Let's get into our last segment. Fantasy sleepers. Not fantasy sleepers. What did I say? Playoff sleepers. So are they in? Are they out? Close teams. Maybe some will drop. Maybe some will rise. Mike, start it off.
This is completely contingent on if this team makes the playoffs. I think they will. I think they have a very good shot at doing so.
I have a feeling I'm going to agree with you.
I've got the Miami Dolphins. It looks right now, and I'm not kidding, and you can take my words right now, they don't look like they can lose to anybody. That's just visually from the last 2 games we've seen. Dude, call me crazy. Watch the games. They've completely destroyed the Rams, like dismantled them, and then they go out and upset the Seahawks a week later. That's, mind you, that's Tua's last 2 starts. The Dolphins look unbeatable. And obviously, they have been growing in popularity over the last few days. And I'm jumping on the bandwagon and the hype train myself. Miami, over their last 3 games, ranks 5th in points per game and 5th in opponents' points per game over the entirety of the season. Tua looks phenomenal, like I said earlier, and they just look like a complete offense. They're definitely the surprise team of the year. There's no debating that. And they're sitting at 6-3. They have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs. Possibly the division. I don't think so. I think the Bills still got it. I could definitely see Miami making the playoffs and possibly upsetting someone in the first round.
I could definitely see them making a playoff push. Tua's balling down there.
Yeah.
I love these new quarterbacks. Recently, the NFL's been taking a new direction in quarterbacks, trying out all these new guys. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, so many new guys. I'm loving it. I like that call.
Yeah. No, totally. Mike, Have you seen their remaining schedule?
Oh, we got a schedule guy here.
So their next 3 games, they're probably going to win. They have the Broncos. I don't know if it's a gimme. Sometimes the Broncos can show up, but they're probably going to win that. Jets, and then Bengals. The Dolphins' last 4 games are the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Raiders, and the Bills. I don't think they're going to. They could potentially drop all 4 of those games.
Oh my God.
They very well may. May.
Come on. Let's see. Their next 3, like you said, are against Denver, Jets, and Cincy. I think they win all 3 of those. So they get to 9-3.
Most likely.
They get to 9-3. Let's say they split. I think they'll go 3-1 and lose to the Chiefs. Let's say they split and go 2-2. That's an 11-5 football team. They'll make the playoffs at 11-5 this season.
With a competitive AFC?
Yeah, I think so.
The AFC is very, very competitive.
But I think the Colts are going to fall apart. They have a spot. The Raiders really haven't done much to really impress me this season. They have a tough upcoming schedule. I think they'll fall apart. And the Browns always find a way to lose.
I agree with all those things. I want to first, before I say my first, I want to begin with one special thing. I got the New England Patriots, baby. I'm excited about this. Let's talk. Let's slow down for a minute and let's talk, okay?
No.
Listen. The 2-5 Chiefs made the playoffs in 2015. The 2-5 Texans made the playoffs in 2015. This is possible. And I know I sound like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist.
Tinfoil hat.
Listen. I found this really good thing as I was doing my notes, and it's what's it called? You can kind of like manipulate what games the Patriots win and lose, and their probability and chances fluctuate up and down. With the projections that the Patriots have right now in relations to other teams, so like the Browns are projected to win or lose against blank. With those projections, and if the Patriots beat the Texans, the Chargers, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Jets, meaning they can to the Bills and Cardinals, they have a 65% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, you threw in a couple of those games as if they're like, oh yeah, we'll beat them.
I think we're going to beat the Texans. I'm probably going to beat the Chargers. I think we can beat the Rams, Dolphins, and Jets. I think we can beat all those teams.
The Rams are like 6-3 right now. They're a tough team. The Dolphins are obviously a fantastic football team.
And look,
the Bills just beat you last time.
Here's the deal. Barely.
They still
Here's
beat
the
you.
deal. Here's the deal. And something to keep in mind, and I think it's going to be the point that I want to drive home to people watching the most. Who have the Patriots beaten this season? They've beaten and look, this is going to be, I'm not saying the Patriots are going to no, this is going to be close. 7 seed. The Patriots have beaten the Dolphins.
With Fitzpatrick.
The Raiders. What's the third team, Mike?
The Ravens and
the Ravens. Jude, all 3 of those teams have
4-5. They beat another team too. Oh, the Jets.
Doesn't matter. You and all 3 of those teams have in common. They're all fighting for wild card spots. And you know who has the game-winning advantage against all 3 of those teams? The New England Patriots do. Those wins against those specific teams are going to help us so much later in this season. Patriots, 7 seed. Let's bring it. Will.
Now, I have also picked the Patriots.
Ayo, let's go.
Listen, those 4 games got a little bit shaky, but we showed that we figured out a game plan that can work for us. Cam not throwing the ball as much. We found a running back that works for us, that can get the yardage, that can produce. And Cam Newton actually found a guy that he likes to throw to in Jacoby Myers. Those 3 ingredients, I think, are enough to push for a playoff season. Now, we're also the New England Patriots. We haven't missed the playoffs in a good amount of time.
11 years, either 11 or 12 years, I believe.
Yeah, a long time.
Straight.
I believe the confidence of Cam. He found his guy. We got Damian Harris running the ball like he is. Even if we drop the game to the Rams, I think we can sneak out with that 7th seed.
It will, like I said, it's going to come down to those matchups that we won. And that's why I think that Ravens game was so key, why that Raiders game was so key, why that Dolphins game was so key. Obviously, we need to pull out a win against the Dolphins later in the season, and I think we can. I think we can seriously make a run for this playoffs. It's going to be close. It's going to come down to a head-to-head matchup. Roll Patriots. Mike, how do you feel?
Here's my problem. When we were doing, I remember very vividly, when we were doing analysis and we were predicting the outcome of the Patriots and Broncos game, we were like, oh yeah, Patriots by like 87-0. Like we had the Patriots by a mile, right? Well, what ended up happening? The Patriots got killed. I mean, they made a bad comeback late that was mostly due to just the Broncos just not being a good football team, if I'm being honest, but they lost. And then you lose again to the Bills, who I think are fool's gold. My point is, yes, Pat brought up, there are some teams where like the Chargers, you think they beat them because of the record. And you got, the Jets again, you think you beat them. Well, you almost just lost to them and needed a, 60-second or really 30-second, drive to go down and kick a 50-yard field goal to go beat the New York winless Jets. Then you get the Dolphins again, who look completely different from how they looked week 1. You put Tua in the mix. Cardinals is a tough game. You get the Texans this week. That's no cakewalk. My point is, there's no like, oh yeah, they'll beat this team for the rest of the season. And like we've seen earlier in the season, the Patriots have dropped stupid games before.
Mm-hmm. And you know what my response to that is? And to coattail on Will's point, they figured their shit out.
In 2 games, dude. One of them, they got really favored because of the weather, and the other one was the New York Jets. I remember saying...
Both teams experienced the exact same weather.
You're gonna blame the Ravens losing on the weather?
Yes, I will.
The weather!
Could you, dude, the 2-minute drive, could you see the field?
Dude, you cannot blame that on the weather. Come on. The Patriots won that game and they deserve to win that game.
Yes, they did. They did, but I think that, I don't know if you agree or not, but I think Will and I are on the right track saying that the Ravens are not as good as advertised.
Yes, and I said that you can't chalk up that Patriots win to the weather. Come on, guy. Give the Patriots a little credit. Come on.
I am giving them credit. I thought it was a fantastic win, but I'm not going to completely just take a 180 spin on this football team because they beat the winless Jets and the Ravens.
I'm not asking you to.
3 of us all think are overrated.
I'm not asking you to do a complete 180 and say, oh, Patriots are making the playoffs. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm asking you to say that the Ravens didn't lose this game because of the weather, dude.
Okay, that's fair. They didn't lose just because of the weather, but I think if you take the weather out of it, you got sunny skies at 55 degrees, and the outcome of that game is a little bit different, and the score isn't what it was. I think the Ravens have a legitimate shot to come back at that. Look, the Patriots didn't score for the last quarter and a half. And dude, what happened to that last quarter and a half? Winds went swirling, rain increased, and nobody could score.
And Mike, and if it was sunny in 75, I'm sure Lamar Jackson is a very known passer and loves passing to all of his very skilled receivers.
Oh, because Jacoby Myers is the second coming of Randy Moss?
I didn't say it. I didn't say that.
By saying that, you're implying the Patriots have a fantastic pass attack.
I'm telling you that the Patriots beat the Baltimore Ravens, and they should have beat them whether or not.
Look, I mean, I'm not going to get hypothetical because obviously that is like obviously we can't necessarily predict what would happen there. So that's kind of an irrelevant argument. I think we can both agree on that. But I'm just saying there's no game for the rest of the year.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
That any of us can say is like, oh yeah, they'll beat this team. So knowing the New England Patriots, I'm a little bit hesitant to say this team's going to make the playoffs.
I think what the two ideologies come down to is what I think me, and I don't want to speak for Will, but I think Will and Michael differs from us, is that me and Will, I think they figured their shit out.
Yeah.
And Michael isn't so sold on that yet.
I think
that's what it comes down to. I'm a little more optimistic about this Patriots team than
it goes deeper than numbers for me. When you look on the field, it's just how consistent are they playing?
With it. Mentality. I'm with that.
It goes deeper than numbers for me, really.
Look, this was a big win. Just to kind of wrap it up, we'll go around the horn. We'll give our conclusions. This was a big win, a huge win. Drill this into your head. Raiders, Ravens, Dolphins. That's all I'm going to say about it. Roll Patriots. Let's see if we can tweak the 7 seed in. Mike.
We felt really good after barely losing to the Chiefs, and then you lost 3 more games. So, see what happens.
Right. Well,
I'm feeling great about the Patriots this season. Well, all right. Now now I'm feeling good about the Patriots' playoff hopes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a way better statement.
I love it. Boys.
Feeling good about the Texans. Damian Harris is a beast. They figured their shit out.
There it is. Boys, this wraps up this week's episode of the 411 podcast. I'm Pat Daly signing off.
Michael Quattromani signing off.
Hello?
No way.
What?
No way Michael cut out.
Yeah, Michael. I cannot hear Michael.
I'm right here. Hello?
Mike?
Can you hear me?
Michael, bro.
Yeah, I'm right here. I can see both of you.
This happened the last time with me.
I know.
You guys can hear me though, right?
Well, now we can, but it
Okay,
stopped.
just go one more time. Go one more time.
Just the outro one more.
Boys, that wraps up this week's episode of the 411 podcast. I'm Pat Daly signing off.
Michael Quattromani signing off.
And Will Casey signing off.
This is the 411 podcast, and we will see you next time. Let's go, boys.
Oh.
Very nice.